Yeah, thank you very much. And you already talked about now plastic in the ocean and the damages, and you talked about recycling. So that's leaves me a lot of time to talk about myself instead, I guess. So several of my points. But yeah, I'm the founder of Empower, and we're doing a plastic waste collection system based on the Norwegian deposit system. I'll get back to that. I'm also a father of 3 children, so I have 2 girls and a boy, and they are 4, 9, and 10 years. Might sound irrelevant for this, but I'll get back to that. We have the issue now. We already looked a bit on the plastic in the ocean, and this fact is that 15 tons, you heard them in another, how much a year, but 15 tons of plastic waste enters the ocean like every single minute. And again, 94% of it sinks. So you get some of it floating and you can get it on the beaches. But really, the cost of getting this up is tremendous. And if the topic here is really the circular economy, I think this shows the cost. I'm not going into circular economy on this, but this is the cost of the linear economy that we have been having, where you create products, you use them, you throw them away, and this is what you get. You get uncontrollable amounts of waste, and some of it gets lost and ends up like this. So it's really, if you can map out the actual damages of the linear economy, then you will find out that circular economy is really where we need to go. So that's a bit my point. So there, still the numbers here of 8.2 billion tons of plastic waste, and 32% of all plastic packaging made up ends in nature. I think 70% of all packaging is plastic, so it's huge numbers. But then again, you say you can recycle all the plastic, so that's good. But at the moment, you have all this plastic going around, and so why should you care about it? Because maybe we'll clean it up, we will get it out of the oceans eventually. But at the moment, you have you talked about the biatoll, about it ends up in the fish, in scallops. It's in the drinking water. You have this latest research in Rocky Mountains. You get plastic in the rain, so you have it in the water there as well. And just last week, there was this study in Der Spiegel, a German newspaper, probably not as popular in the UK, but it's one of the largest newspapers there. And it showed that in the children from age 5 to 8 years, which is close to my children, it's 97% of the kids had toxic plastic in their blood or urine in the tests. So that's not really, it's not just in nature, it's not just animals dying, but it's in our kids. So if you look at your children, if you have it, they probably have waste that we have created inside of them with the current system. So if you look at the cost of that, compared to the cost of turning into a circular economy, it would be it's a no-brainer, I think. So this is my ex-wife. I talked about my children. No, this is this is looking bad, but this is the growth of production of plastic every year, and it's really it's exploding. It's getting worse every year, and if already now all the kids have everyone has plastic in the blood or in their bodies, it will increase unless we do something now. So really, it's an emergency, and you need to hold it up against climate. What can you do on carbon emissions? And you need to balance that on the waste and the plastic and what you do. So you need the recycling technologies. And we really need to act on this immediately. So when it comes to my startup and what we're trying to do is we found the solution to plastic waste is obviously you need to close the tap. You turn off the water, when it's leaking, and you have to do the same on plastic. It needs to get back in the circular economy. If it's mechanical or chemical recycling of the plastic, it just needs to be done. You also need to clean up everything that's out there, because there's hundreds of millions of tons out in nature already, and we need to get it out. And finally, there's all these regions, countries, as was mentioned, like Sri Lanka, Indonesia. They don't really have the resources. They don't have the waste management infrastructure to do anything about it. But they need help, and if we can't do that in 20 years, it needs to be done pretty quickly. So this is what we're trying in Empower to target. And our system is really, we tried to make a digital version of the Norwegian plastic bottle deposit system. I think you're starting to look at getting that in UK, at least Scotland introduced it, where you can, when you buy the bottles in the shop, you pay an extra deposit fee, and you deliver it back again, and you get that financial incentive to return your bottles. And in Norway, the recycling rate of a bottle is 97%. And if you look at the recycling rate on all plastic in the world, in general, it's more like 8%. So our point is, can we really take that technology, apply it to all plastic waste on the global level, and we can increase the recycling rate, or collection and recycling rate, from 8 up towards 90%, then you can really have a huge impact, both environmentally and financially, by doing that. The deposit system starts, of course, with the collection. You need to ensure you collect it. You need to control where it's going. It doesn't end out outside the cycle. And it needs to then be recycled and turned back into products. So this is really a circular deposit system that we're trying to build. And let's start with what we have been doing the last year is the incentivized collection. And this is our vision, really, is that you should be able to, wherever you are in the world, you should be able to take plastic from your home, or if you do a beach cleanup, you should then be able to take it to a collection point and get the immediate financial reward. And we've been testing this out now in 12 countries, doing it in the jungle in Laos. We've done it in a big city like Mumbai, Tanzania. We've done it in Norway as well. And it works, because this is kind of a basic human instinct, really. If you get rewarded by doing something, not rewarded by throwing it away, but delivering it back, then you will do it. And it's, everyone will do it, even if it's a very small amount. It happens. So we've been doing this and testing it. And we're also doing this reward as a digital token. So we're using blockchain technology, so we can issue this cross-border. So that's why we can do this in any country kind of immediately, and it's at a very low cost. So it's a solution that is both scalable and it's easy to deploy. So we've been doing, this is just some picture with the last cleanup we did a couple of weeks ago in Tanzania. And they clean up or collected really plastic and mainly bottles of 1.5 tons in 3 hours in Arusha. So it's really, and there's no system there from before, so it's kind of really introducing a waste management system. This is also from Mumbai on the beach, where we did a similar thing, and also they used half a day on the beach in Mumbai, and more than 1 ton of plastic waste again that was cleaned up. So it's really testing and seeing it works, but it also gives you a perspective of how big the problem is. And, I think by deploying this system, and what we learned so far is, of course, you reduce the amount of plastic in nature. We collect it. We also create jobs, both by getting fair payment to the waste collectors, but also we're kickstarting waste management systems, because people can put up a collection point, starting collect the plastic and make a business out of that, or sell it back and get funding. And we're also giving all the users a digital account on their cell phones. So it's efficiently really banking the unbanked when you come to Indonesia and Sri Lanka with the revenue as well. So it's not just giving them, now you can have a digital account on your phone and they don't have any money, but they can start earning immediately by delivering plastic waste and doing something useful to society. So it's been also a good, huge impact potential in that. And finally, it's a transparent, cost-efficient aid, because we're using the blockchain technology, so every time someone delivers in the plastic, we register it. And we also then register how much is paid out. So any sponsor in this, or the ones who are paying for the plastic waste collection, which are both companies, local governments, and individuals, you're sponsoring this by will, but they can see then where the money goes. So instead of giving it to an NGO and maybe get the letter that said, yeah, you spent it for this, you can actually see where and when your money was spent on, and what was, how much plastic was collected, when and where for your money. So it's a cool, transparent system. So this is some of the places we've done cleanup so far. It's Indonesia. In the middle, you have the jungle in Laos, Sri Lanka, Mumbai, Norway. And we've been doing this 1.5 years now. And just looking at how much this problem is on the global agenda, I think in that period of time, we've been contacted by people and companies and NGOs in about 70 countries. So it's really on all continents. We've done cleanups in 12 countries, in Africa, Asia and Europe, but it's really like 60, 70 countries now where we have been asked, and what everyone is saying is that you need to come here because this is the worst place in the world. This is where we have the hugest problem. So I don't think really, and that's kind of, if it's from Panama or Brazil or Indonesia or Sri Lanka, everyone who's been there, they say, you must go there because that's where the crisis is. And it's just an enormous global problem that I don't think anyone really sees yet or understands the volumes. But it's definitely much worse than anyone can imagine. And you know, when you get this news then that even this plastic ends up in your bodies, and you know, the younger the kids, the more they have of actual plastic content in them as well, and those kind of things. It's yeah, you don't stop doing this, but you really feel that this is something we need to do, and everyone needs to really help on this. And if it's recycling and getting it back into circular economy, or if it's immediately we just need to collect it, and then we need to work on all these technologies and building more factories that can recycle it, and this is what we need to do. So I'm back to the first picture I had, and just to, I guess, underline that this is circularity that we need. We have the linear economy now for 50, 60, 100 years. I guess it was more circular even before, but and you produce things, and they are meant to not last. You use them, you throw them away, and away doesn't exist. I know that, in the 80s, when I went to school, they said, yeah, but it ends up in the ocean, and it's so big, it will disappear, so it doesn't happen. And now it's starting to get full, and we get all the issues back. And we are really there that the cost of the linear economy is way too high. We can't handle it. We're like 8 billion people, getting close to that. Economies are growing all over the world, and you're getting this, if everyone, with the banking technologies, you're really raising a lot of people out of poverty, and probably keep happening in Africa and Asia in the coming years. But that also means that consumption will increase. And if we do that with the economy and the setup we have today, that will be definitely, potentially at least, I think that's the end of the world. And if it's climate or if it's waste or plastic, some of it will happen. And we really have one last chance, I guess, to really start doing stuff. Because it's, and then it comes to really changing that from a linear economy to a circular economy as soon as possible. And I think the companies and people who really see that now and start creating products and design them from scratch that can be recycled and are circular, I think they will really have a huge benefit, because the politicians and you will need to get the policies and regulations that force people to do it and pay taxes if they are not circular, if they're not recycled. And yeah, then it's if you want to make money, you have to have circular products. Again, back to the deposit system in Norway. The only regulation they really made there on the bottles was that the producers of plastic bottles, they need to pay, I think, 50 cents per bottle they produce. But that amount, or that tax, is reduced for the percentage of bottles that are actually recycled. So they pay half of it if it's 50% recycled, but if it's above 95% of the bottles are recycled, they don't pay any tax. So that's the whole legislation for the plastic bottle deposit system in Norway. And now we have 97% recycling rate, because the industry then takes care of it and set up this deposit system by themselves just to avoid that tax. So I really think you need that for all products. You need everyone to produce products that are circular, and we need this deposit system that gets it back, keeps it out of nature, and back into new products. So, thank you.